Dr. Frank, very briefly, what are we talking about storm surge here?
Well, we're talking about 8 to 10 to 12 feet in the area where the center moves along the coast.
Center right about there. We'll take it back for you and show you that one more time. You're looking at about 9 hours worth of satellite photographs. Again, the storm, many of the gales now just getting onto the Carolina coast. The third time through, watch this cold front. It's moving inland, and all of a sudden it just kind of merges with the storm. The hurricane has just kind of sucked all the other clouds and fronts up into it. Here's a look at the rain intensity now. The dark
kind of skirt by. This is the eye, by the way, the center of the hurricane. Just kind of skirt by the outer banks and then go back over water. So as far as the coastal area receiving the eye, it may receive part of it, or just, you know, through this very, very extreme eastern edge of it right here. But the big concern right now is that the fact that it will go back over water again, and that's probably the worst news that we have. Fast this storm is moving. Here it was, again, about an hour and 15 minutes ago, and here's where it is right now. It is just really trucking along. 30 miles an hour, as you can see there.
Along those barrier islands, have they all been removed? Have they all been evacuated?
We have evacuated around 90,000 people and currently have in shelter about 20,000 people in about 67 shelters.
Suburban area that it is right now. That makes it incredibly dangerous, doesn't it? When you have that, I mean, I remember hearing you when we were talking about that other hurricane a few weeks ago in Florida. Your great concern was that more and more people are moving into areas with fewer roads to get them out.
Yeah, that's true, Ted, but listen, there's a lot of Long Island that would be very safe during a hurricane, and you just can't evacuate all of Long Island. That's just literally impossible. But places like the West Hampton Beach, you know, in 1938 there was 178 homes along that beachfront. Only 25 survived when the water literally went over Fire Island and over that West Hampton Beach and swept many of those buildings back over to the mainland of Long Island. So we're talking about the immediate coastal areas. There's a little, I understand that there's a little weekend retreat area on Fire Island where maybe as many as 12,000 people go out to in the summertime on a weekend. Well, if there's people out there and they got to get out there by ferry, it's important that they get back to the safety of the mainland of Long Island.
Well, as we saw just a moment ago, Neil, they are already evacuating people. They've been evacuating people from Fire Island by ferry. What I'd like you to do very quickly for us, because not everyone joins us right at the top of the show, give us a quick update, will you?
Yes, the center of Gloria is south of the Outer Banks of North Carolina. It's moving northward about 20 miles an hour. It's expected to cross the Outer Banks during the pre-dawn hours, and that means that most of the populated areas, you know, more to Wilmington and over in that area, have escaped the full brunt of this storm. We expect it then to accelerate to the north and the northeast, and the center looks like it's going to move very close to the coastline, and if it does, and it's
tonight still moving 25 to 30 miles an hour.
At that time to here. So it is making its way ever so slowly northward, and that means that we expect it to be now just south of the coast of Long Island by noon. Remember, originally this morning we were talking it to be in the coastal regions of Long Island by sometime after 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon. So
see the eye a little while ago, but now in the last hour it's becoming less visible as it's partially on land. So very, very strong winds in the New York City area and on the western end of Long Island, Farmingdale, Hempstead, all those places, Garden City, very likely going to be right in the eye of the hurricane. Now remember, when you get the eye of the hurricane, the wind is going to calm down for a little while. Not very long with one moving this fast, and then the wind is going to come in from the opposite direction just as hard as it was before. So where you have easterly winds up here now, when the eye goes by, the wind is going to shift to westerly. Okay, let's look at about as this hurricane continues to pick up forward speed. Top winds are down a little bit, 120 miles an hour. And I'd like to point out that most of those winds that strong are going to be right in the eye itself or just to the right or to the east of the eye as that crosses Long Island. Very, very strong winds out toward the Hamptons and out in that way. High tides too now.
You may experience a period of calm winds. It may last for a few moments. Then the full fury of the storm will come from the opposite direction. Maybe east winds now, they'll come around from the west, and then the storm will lift off to the north. Central pressure 28.20 inches of mercury.
Good afternoon. Hurricane Gloria has arrived, turning her angry eye on us.
The awesome storm is leashing the Jersey Shore, flooding streets, knocking out power, sending thousands of people to shelters. The metropolitan area is virtually at a standstill, held hostage by the hurricane. Now, this is what Atlantic City looked like around 9:50 this morning. Rising water swept through the streets, prompting evacuations. More than half the city's residents reportedly have left their homes. The casinos have shut down for the first time in their history. As the storm raced toward New York City, it even played havoc with the Hudson River, causing surging waves at the West 79th Street Marina in Manhattan.
Of Long Island, and then it'll head on up towards Rhode Island and all of New England. But right now, the eye is just north of Fire Island. And
We're talking about an imminent hit, aren't we?
definite.
Could be in the next few minutes.
Probably right now. Let's see what's happening. This is the observation at Newark Airport. Very heavy rain, obviously. 72 degrees, 100% humidity. Take a look at that barometer reading. We got to talk about that because it's an all-time record for this area. An all-time low barometer record since records started back in the 1800s. It is 2860 in FVR. That is falling very rapidly. The pressure is falling at the rate of 25 hundredths an hour. Incredible. Here are some of the peak wind gusts around the area on the hour at noon. Newark is gusting to 50, LaGuardia 65. Atlantic City is still gusting to 58 miles per hour. Kennedy Airport is gusting to 55. And ironically, it's not too bad. Right in Manhattan, Central Park is reporting a wind gust of 40. All right, here is the very latest satellite picture available. The eye of the hurricane, as we mentioned, is approaching Long Island. It's moving rapidly to the northeast at 40 miles per hour. There's also a major flood warning in effect for all of the metropolitan area. There's a tornado watch in effect, and that includes all of the Long Island, all of Rockland and Westchester County, and all of Connecticut. Let's take a look at the radar. It is tremendous. We could easily see many areas reporting up to 10 inches of rain. 9 Weather Lab is calling for, obviously, a hurricane warning. Very heavy rain, up to 10 inches of rain possible in some areas. Coastal areas, particularly on the eastern end of Long Island, could have gusts to 100. Inland areas, gusts to 80. Now, believe it or not, by tonight, things will calm down drastically.
Bridgeport, last observation we had, reported gusts of 81 miles an hour. We didn't get any this hour. The hurricane continues to move very rapidly toward the north at 40 miles an hour or faster. There you see the latest satellite picture. Very, very rapid movement. The eye moving through Connecticut is going to be through there very shortly. Not going to take very long at the rate of speed it's traveling. Here is the latest black and white satellite picture just about the time the eye was crossing Long Island. And here's the radar out of JFK. Perhaps I noticed that we have some gusts a little bit different than that now. Well, not too much. It's 74 miles an hour at Boston at 3 p.m. Providence still gusting to 43. Portsmouth, New Hampshire, for example.
1938 hurricane here that so frightened Long Island.
Dr. Frank, the hurricane didn't do as much damage as people had predicted. Everybody's pleased about that. Explain why.
Well, there are two observations that I'd like to make for you tonight. Number one, as far as the south coast of New England is concerned, in Long Island, it arrived at low tide. And it's a big difference between arriving at low tide and high tide. The 1938 storm came in at high tide and had another 4 or 5 feet of water, and that causes extensive damage that we didn't observe in this storm. The second observation I would make as far as the Jersey coast, the Delaware coast, the Maryland coast, is the center stayed just offshore. So the weak part of the storm skirted that coastline. Conditions were much worse just 50 miles off the coast. So we're very pleased tonight that both coastlines didn't experience the bad conditions that they could have.
Thank you very much for a really terrific effort over the last few days. It's been good of you.
Well, let's talk about two observations I'll make. Number one, the center of the storm passed just to the east of the Jersey coast, the Delaware coast, and the Maryland coast. Now, if you've got to go through a bad hurricane, that's the way to do it. Second observation that I would make, and I think is most significant, is the storm arrived at low tide on the south coast of New England. If it had arrived 3 hours earlier or 3 hours later, you could have had 4 or 5 more feet of water.
All right, now the next time that you and the United States Weather Service say, listen, there's a really monster hurricane out there, and we're telling people you better get out of its way. To the person who says, hey, they always say that, the last time they said it, it didn't turn out to be so much the case. What can you say to that person?
When the storm had 150-mile-an-hour winds, it certainly had 150-mile-an-hour winds. We didn't know within the framework of our skills whether it might weaken some before it got to the coastline. I still think that arriving at low tide made a significant difference.
Hurricane Gloria first.
Hurricane Gloria, a powerful storm, but not as ferocious as advertised. She's fading away tonight.
NBC Nightly News.